there, this is Datila bringing the Wrestling Time post show. It is Wednesday, December 21st, 2022. And for tonight, we will be talking about AEW Dynamite Holiday Bash. Alright, so tonight's Dynamite kicked off with a Ricky Starks promo. As you know, last week he did face MJF to bat for the AEW World title. Unfortunately, he lost. Or as Ricky Starks put it, he lost as a man and MJF won as a coward. He starts talking about how he should have known better and that it would be nice to be standing there as AEW champion, but he isn't because he lost. Ricky Starks says that he can stand there with dignity and respect, and MJF, despite being champion, doesn't have any of that, including a pair of these. But he would like to point out to everybody who watched last week, if he was this close to beating MJF, just imagine what happens next time, because there will be a next time between them. And honestly, I would not be surprised by that. Based on how the match ended last week, I would not be surprised if somewhere down the road we revisit MJF and Ricky Starks. It was a really good match, and I would not mind seeing that feud or that match again. And Ricky Starks makes it note that he has to work his way back up to a title shot. But at the end of the day, he's going to be the man around here because he's absolute Ricky Starks. And after he's done cutting his promo, the Jericho Appreciation Society comes out and they basically offer Ricky Starks the opportunity to join JAS. But Ricky Starks turns him down, and he's basically saying how he likes the fact that Chris Jericho knows how to stay relevant, and that Chris Jericho's constantly evolving. Just a few months ago, Jericho was coming out built like an air fryer, and now look at him. He's lean, mean, shredded, and he's dressed like a single father on his 5th divorce. Personally, Starks loves it. So Jericho's facial expressions throughout this promo were actually pretty hilarious. And so he calls JAS a little boy band, as he goes on to say that the offer is tempting, but he has to turn them down. He doesn't want to have a leash around his neck. AEW has something with Ricky Starks. Hopefully they continue to build him up to be a big star. Definitely, I do agree with that. They have something really special with Ricky Starks, and he will be champion sometime in the future. Whether it be next year or in the next 2 years, he's definitely going to be champion. Ricky Starks makes reference to Chris Jericho's loss to Action Andretti last week, and that ever since then, his stock has kind of dropped, and that JAS should stand for jobbers. And then the crowd starts chanting jobbers, which I thought was so hilarious. And then Ricky throws it back at them, saying, what has Jericho done? He asked Daniel Garcia, what has Jericho done for him since he's joined? He says that Daniel Garcia actually lost his title, and then he could care less about Sammy Guevara. It's the Jobber Appreciation Society. That's a good one. And on January 4th, Ricky Starks challenges Chris Jericho to a match. Jericho doesn't like what he heard, so he has Jake Hager attack Ricky Starks from behind. And of course, there is a 301 beatdown on Ricky Starks. And this segment ends when Action Andretti comes out to help Ricky Starks. So I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere down the road, after next week, we get like a tag team match here. Action Andretti and Ricky Starks versus Chris Jericho and maybe Sammy Guevara or Daniel Garcia, or maybe even Jake Hager. But I definitely do see a tag team match happening here between Action Andretti and Ricky Starks versus 2 members of JAS. So really good way to open up Dynamite. I actually really love that promo by Ricky Starks. He definitely has a lot of potential in him. And like I said earlier, he's definitely going to be champion. Whether that be next year or in 2024, he definitely has a bright future ahead of him in AEW. So we have the best of 7 series match number 5. It's a no DQ match. It is the Elite versus the Death Triangle. Remember, this came about because the Death Triangle kept using that hammer. And so the Elite were 1, the Death Triangle 3. So the Elite needed to win this, otherwise they were not going to continue with the best of 7 series matches. That hat needs to go on Hayter, that Barney purple looking hat. That's funny. Oh my god, so like once the bell rings, all the men go at it. It's just like a brawl breaks out. Oh my god. Brendan Cutler, who was dressed as an elf, freaking entered this ring. He got taken out by Alex Abrahantes. Penta hit Kenny Omega with that trash can. Oh my god, Penta using that a Christmas tree and Pac stomping on Nick's ankle. Remember, if you guys recall last week, Nick did land wrong on his ankle, so it was kind of still messed up. That moon, I hated that goofy stuff with color and that. Really, why? I liked it. That elbow to Penta by Matt through the table was cool, and that senton to Pac by Nick through the table was also pretty cool too. My favorite part in one of this is when Omega grabs the barbed wire broom and he hits poor Ray Phoenix with it, and then I think Kenny Omega gets stuck on it somehow. But of course, like Alex Abrahantes hands Ray Phoenix the hammer and he uses it on Omega, but that's not enough here. The Elite Omega actually kicks out. And so the Elite is victorious in this match. And Death Triangle is not happy about that because now it's 3-2. And then Triangle beats down the Elite and Nick gets busted open. So I have to say, as much as I enjoyed this match, I knew the Elite was going to win. I think, like I said at the beginning of these best of 7 series matches, we're going to go all the way to 7. We're going to get that Escalera de la Muerte match. I think the Elite's winning the next match, so it'll be 3-3. But this was a good match. I actually really like this. This was probably, all the matches have been good, but I honestly really enjoyed this one. I think this has been the most fun match that they've had so far. It's probably the no DQ element played a good factor into that, but I actually really enjoyed this match. I feel like it was a little short, but hey, I really liked it. I can't complain about because I really liked it. What about you guys? What has been so far the best of series matches? What has been your favorite so far? Then we got Action Andretti promo. Talking about how he did the unthinkable, the impossible, something that something that some people are saying is the biggest upset of the decade. He defeated the Ocho in the middle of the ring. Now, I don't think Action Andretti defeating Chris Jericho is comparable to when Fandango beat Chris Jericho at WrestleMania all those years ago. Action Andretti, he's amazing just based on what we've seen of him so far, and I could tell he would be a big star in AEW. Action Andretti goes on to say that his life hasn't been the same. He's been getting an overwhelming amount of support and love from all of the AEW fans, and it feels amazing. And that while all the good stuff is for him, he knows that the Appreciation Society wouldn't just watch their leader get beat by some new rookie and not have built up frustration and anger. He's right about that. He's truly right about that. I think he goes on to say that they took it out on Ricky Starks. But see, Parker and Menard show up, and they give him a compliment. Menard saying that he's on fire, and then Jericho throws a fireball at him. So it seems like Chris Jericho may be going back to his wizard gimmick. He's throwing fireballs at people. Action Andretti and Jericho will be having another match again. This was 1-2-3 Kid versus Razor Ramon of AEW. Definitely. I do see them having another match somewhere down the road. And honestly, I would not mind it if Action Andretti is definitely amazing. So Bryan Danielson cuts a promo talking about he doesn't expect BCC to forgive Regal. And he first trained to wrestle in San Antonio, Texas. And they were doing those Shawn Michaels chants. They were chanting, well, they weren't chanting Shawn Michaels, they were chanting HBK. I don't know if anybody caught that, but I caught it. I mean, because San Antonio, Texas is the home of Shawn Michaels. It's just that Regal made him into the wrestler person he is today. That he loved having Regal in AEW, but there are consequences for actions, and he calls out MJF. But instead of MJF, he gets Ethan Page, and he calls him a vegetable man. But he doesn't call him a vegetable man because of his way of life, but because he will turn him into a vegetable. And Bryan challenges Ethan Page to a match tonight, and he gives him the opportunity to turn him into a vegetable. But Ethan Page says that they should have the match next week because his pants are staying on. So there's so much going on in tonight's Dynamite. There's so many stories that they're building. And honestly, would not mind seeing Ethan Page versus Bryan Danielson. I think that's going to be a good match. So I'm actually pretty looking forward to seeing that. So it seems like they're building a feud with Ricky Starks and JAS. They're building towards Bryan and MJF. So it'd be interesting to see how we get to Bryan and MJF's match. So after this, we get a Jon Moxley promo, and he starts talking about the 300,000 Trio Casino Christmas Royale, which sounds like a good time to him, something that he wouldn't want to miss. And he's referring to Hangman Adam Page. He says that they can brawl across Texas, and he starts to wonder when they can settle this in the ring. Talking about how Hangman got knocked down, so what is there left to settle? Poor Hangman woke up in a hospital, and Moxley says he's not the bad guy here. Now, he was supposed to have a match. He's supposed to have a match with Darius Martin. So in reference to Darius Martin, Jon Moxley says that Darius blew out his knee, and all he hears is injury prone, and he's going to teach Darius a hard lesson. So I was actually looking forward to Jon Moxley versus Darius Martin. You know, Top Flight is such a good team, and I like Dante Martin, so I was really hoping that Darius versus Jon Moxley wouldn't disappoint, and it didn't. I'll get to that when we get to that match. So we get a Samoa Joe promo, and he's basically talking about how he wishes everybody a happy holidays, that he's the one true king of television, and that he wants Wardlow to have the happiest, merriest of holidays, and he wants it to be filled with family, friends, people he loves and enjoys. Because he talks about how on December 28th, after he's done giving Wardlow what he's asked for, the holiday cheer ends. So I'm looking forward to Samoa Joe versus Wardlow. I don't know if Wardlow would win. I think Samoa Joe would probably retain. But I'm looking forward to it. As Big E would say, big, meaty men slapping meat. So we get Hook versus Exodus Prime, who apparently is making his AEW Dynamite debut. This was an okay match. It was a squash match. Honestly, Hook won this by submission. This was a short match. Now, after the match was over, you have Big Bill and Lee Moriarty attack Jungle Boy in the back, and Big Bill chokeslams Jungle Boy into the dumpster. And I don't know if this was a botch. Gotta go with Joe on that one. True. I don't know if this was a botch or if this was like intentional, but as Hook is leaving, like Jon Moxley comes out, and then like it was this weird pacing when like Jon Moxley came out, they went to commercial break, and then when they came back, like Claudio Castelloni was already in the ring with Jon Moxley. So I don't know if that was a botch. Or maybe they're setting up Hook. I don't know. It didn't seem like they were setting up Hook versus Jon Moxley. So we get Jon Moxley versus Darius Martin. And this was Darius Martin's first match back since his last injury. And honestly, like, he did not miss a step. This was a good match. Good, solid match. But like Jon Moxley said, Darius Martin is injury prone. So hopefully we could see more of him. And that suplex on the concrete floor to Darius when they went into the crowd was, oh my God, like I was a little worried there for Darius. The back rake to Darius followed by a superplex is a pretty cool spot here. You know, like Darius put up a good fight against Jon Moxley, but it wasn't enough. Like that death rated to Darius marked the end of him. Jon Moxley was victorious, and then Dante Martin, who was at ringside, was cheering Darius on the entire time. So I honestly would not complain if we ever see another match of Jon Moxley and Darius Martin down the road somewhere. But what did you guys think of this match? What do you guys think of Darius Martin? I really hope he stays healthy and we can have a good 2023. I know he had a lot. He was out a lot in 2022 because of his injuries. Mox doesn't need to bleed in every match he has. That's true, he doesn't. So we get a tag team match, the Guns versus FTR. I think this was a match that a lot of people were looking forward to. And the Guns have been at FTR's throats for a while now. And this match finally happened. I honestly thought that FTR was going to win the AEW tag titles and then feud with the Guns for those AEW tag titles, but that did not happen. So my favorite spot in this match was when, again, they're in San Antonio, Texas. So Austin was teasing doing the sweet chin music and the crowd was booing him. But he stopped himself midway and he told Dax to suck it pretty much. He did the whole DX chop. And then he put Dax in the sharpshooter. So that was my favorite spot in the match. Oh, there was this nasty spot by Cash where he landed on the barricade. That looked bad. Now the Guns, I'm so surprised they won this. Colton held on to Austin, which helped him pin Dax, and they actually won. I was not expecting the Guns to win this. I thought FTR was going to win this, but if this feud is going to continue, it makes perfect sense as to why the Guns won and how they won. They basically cheated to beat FTR. So I could see them doing a rematch down the road. I know FTR is not the AEW tag team champions, but maybe they can put, well, I don't think they can put the other titles on the line. But I definitely do see those rivalries going to continue, especially after the way the Guns won. We get a face-to-face Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee with Rick Ross as mediator. And Rick Ross calls Keith Lee a big MFer. And he's talking about how he's coming to make history. So Swerve Strickland comes out and says they're doing this on Keith Lee's time, and Swerve Strickland waits for nobody. And that if they're gonna do this, they're gonna do things Swerve Strickland's way. And he says that he can't deal with all the accusations that Keith Lee's put on him, and that Keith Lee needs to keep an eye on the ball, keep an eye on those tag titles, his health, and he should keep eyes on the back of the head. And that is when Parker Bordeaux attacks Keith Lee, and he's wearing the same shirt as Swerve Strickland. And then some other guy, I don't know who that was. If you guys could know who that was, let me know in the chat or in the comment section if you're watching this on the replay, who the other guy was. I don't know who that was, but they seem to be called Mogul affiliates. It seems like Swerve Strickland is forming his own group. And so I wonder if this means Parker Bordeaux is out of the Trustbusters. Last I know, he was a part of those Trustbusters. So the Mogul affiliates put Keith Lee onto steel steps, and then they put a cinder block on his stomach, and Swerve Strickland does a stomp. So, ow. Like, that, I guess this feud isn't over between them, and I guess it's just starting. So the main event was the women's AEW World Title matches. Jamie Hayter versus Hikaru Shida. Jamie Hayter doing her first title defense is winning at Full Gear. And honestly, I'm really happy the ladies main evented here. This was actually a really good match. So I didn't know this was going to be the main event until they said this was a main event. And not to mention, like, that best of 7 series matches would happen like second. So All right. So both, I really like how Shida was doing elbows and then Hayter did elbows. Shida did chest chops. Jamie Hayter did chest chops. Jamie Hayter got hit with the knee strike like 3 times during this match, I think. Yeah, there was a knee strike on the ring apron and then like 2 knee strikes in the ring. That snapmare to Shida from the turnbuckle to the ring apron was like, oh my god. Hayter missed a moonsault at one point. So of course, like Rebel got distracted the referee, so Britt can attack Shida with the kendo stick, but that doesn't happen. Shida actually attacks Britt with the kendo stick, and ripcord lariat. Shida gets hit with the ripcord lariat a couple of times before she goes down for good, and Jamie Hayter is successful, and so Toni Storm and Saraya both come out to try to save Shida. And then Saraya runs off Britt with the thrust kick. And that is how AEW Dynamite ends. What do you guys think of Britt and Rebel getting involved in this match? Do you guys think it kind of taints Jamie Hayter's first title defense? I mean, I guess you can make the same thing with MJF. Like, MJF pretty much cheated in his first title defense. But I actually thought it was a really good main event. I really did like tonight's show. I thought it was a good show. There were, like I said, I don't know if that Hook Moxley thing was a botch, but with Hook versus Exodius Prime, I feel like that kind of was not necessary. You could have done the whole, instead of having that match, you could have just had Hook come out to the ring, and just as this match was about to start, maybe you could have had them pay the Titantron and then have Hook leave and go save Jungle Boy. But I don't know. That's just me. But what do you guys think of tonight's show? Did you guys like it? Did you guys not like it? But with that being said, you guys, that concludes this review. Thank you guys all so much for watching and for your continuous support. I know SmackDown is taped on this Friday. It was taped last Friday, so this week's SmackDown is not live. Jamie needs to show what she can do on her own as champion. She doesn't need Britt or anybody to help her win her matches. That is true. I feel like eventually Britt and Jamie are gonna split eventually. But with that being said, you guys, thank you guys all so much for watching and for your continuous support. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell so you get notified whenever I go live or release a new video. And I hope to see you guys live Friday after Rampage. Bye.